Welcome to Monday's edition of Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. I am John Schmeelk, joined by Paul Dottino. We'll take a lot of your calls today at 201-939-4513, 201-939-4513. We don't want to do a ton on the Senior Bowl because Paul and I talked about all that happened in all the practices last week, but they did actually play the game over the weekend.
Yeah.
So, Paul, why don't we start with that very quickly? Any of your takeaways from the game itself on Saturday?
Well, how about Bosch's touchdown catch? How about that?
You mean Besh?
Besh.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I was going to say Chris Bosch is playing football now. That'd be pretty good.
I was just talking basketball with Don outside, and I'm in NBA mode right now.
Or you can have Billy Bob Thornton's character from the from that TV series, right? He plays Bosch, right? Isn't that the name of a show? I think it is.
I guess.
Pearson shrugs. Yes, I'm pretty sure it is. Go ahead.
Anyway, he had good hands all week from the practice sessions that I saw.
He just doesn't separate a ton.
No.
But he catches everything, and he's strong.
He's not spectacular.
Right.
He doesn't open your eyes. He doesn't make you drop your jaw. He just makes plays. He just does what he's supposed to do. And for him to be able to break free on the winning touchdown like he did and kind of find his way into that little crease there right inside the end zone and make the grab, it was a great story. And the truth is, I heard Pat Kerwin from Sirius NFL Radio say, he reminds me a lot of Cooper Kupp.
I don't think he's quite the separator that Cooper Kupp is.
Probably not.
That's similar. I mean, I hate just comping white receivers to white wide receivers because that's what people do. But yes.
I know. But the truth is, the kid showed terrific hands and concentration.
Yes.
And he's obviously a very smart, studious player because you got to be to run the kind of routes he ran.
He's a great catcher of the football. Like, he just catches everything, and he's tough. He's big. He's very strong. Like, I think his dad's a strength coach or something like that. So
you're not going to want him to be a 1 or a 2 on your team.
No.
There's a 3?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, Cooper Kupp is like a one.
I know.
He's special. So that's why I just want to be careful with that type of comparison.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Savion Jones, they put him at defensive tackle in the game early on. He was kind of wrecking house, beat Gray Zabel a couple times. Jaden Higgins had that one back shoulder catch.
Zabel bothered me, John. He had some bad plays in the game.
He did. After a great week of practice, he did have some misses in the game.
That troubled me a little bit.
He did. Landon Jackson, I thought after a somewhat quiet week of practice, had a really good game. He had a strip sack in that.
Yes, he did.
Used his length and his power. Bassa, the linebacker out of Oregon, made a couple of plays. He was good during the week, too. Besh also had a contested catch and a flea flicker earlier in the game, aside from the...
Yes.
So did Jaden Higgins. It was on a running back option throw. He had to play down the field. So those are some other guys that kind of jumped out to me.
You told me to keep an eye on Higgins earlier last week in one of our phone calls. And, yeah, I'm looking forward to watching more tape on him. And the throw was by Griffin, right? The running back? Did he make the...
Harvey threw those 2 of those plays. Harvey was one of them.
He was the second one, right?
I'm trying to remember who threw the first one.
Was the first one Griff?
Let me see.
Griffin
the first one is I don't think there's a Griffin. I think was it Ollie Gordon?
Gordon.
It was Ollie Gordon, I think.
Gordon.
Right?
It was Ollie Gordon.
Yes.
Ollie Gordon had the first one, and then your guy had the second one.
Yes.
Harvey. Griffin, for me, I really wanted to see them have him slam it up inside. For a guy who's 6'2", 225, 230 pounds, you know how I feel about getting a power hammer in that running back's room. I don't know where Gordon's going to go. I don't know how high he's going to be.
I talked to some people down there. They're saying he might drop to day 3.
That would be wonderful for me.
He runs a little high, though. Are you okay with that? He's a little tall, and he runs tall.
I know. Well, Brandon Jacobs did, too.
I know, but he's not 260 pounds.
I know.
And he's not Derrick Henry either, who also runs high.
I agree with you. But I would, by a third day, I don't want to say round, third day, if Griffin is still there, Gordon, I keep calling him Griffin. If Gordon is still there in the third day, I'm getting fegalitis now. I would very much like to consider him on the third day because I'd like to get a hammer in that running back's room. And he certainly is a much different mold, different frame than anybody else the Giants have in that room.
He is. That's absolutely true. Ty Robinson made a play in the second half of the game. Oladejo, again, who was great during the week out of UCLA. He was making plays.
He did.
Same with David Walker, who also was great during the week. He made some plays in the game. Nothing else. Jalen Rivers, after a good first day, he really struggled the last couple of days, to be honest with you. Sebastian Castro, this is the corner/safety out of Iowa, had a good pass breakup and a great tackle on a fourth down play, too.
And where's he going to go, John? Is he going to be a corner?
I have not had that conversation with people yet. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. He played slot and safety.
Right. So I don't know where he's going to wind up, but he caught my eye during the game.
And then Tyler Shuck, I thought he showed off his good and his bad. He was inconsistent, right? He showed off his size and his arm strength. He threw a pick. He was late on a throw, a little inaccurate with a couple of throws, but he certainly has the traits you want out of the position.
The quarterbacks on the whole, I didn't think in the Senior Bowl. Nobody just lit it up.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, so that's the Senior Bowl stuff, folks. We'll keep taking your calls on that of the draft if you want. But there was a bit of NFL news today that does impact the Giants. Myles Garrett, and I will give him credit. I don't know if he actually wrote this or his agent wrote it for him. It seemed like it was a really pain decision for him, and I imagine it was because my understanding is that he does have a pretty strong connection to the Browns fans. Puts out a letter on social media, X specifically, I'm not sure if it was on other ones as well, that he's requesting a trade from the Browns. So he's probably, he might be the best defensive player in football right now.
He's certainly right up there if he's not.
His size, his speed, his combination of traits is off the charts. He's only 29. That was about, I think he's a little bit younger than Khalil Mack was when he did his trade thing from the Chargers, maybe a little bit older. I got to double check and look at that. But he's a great player, a great, great player. It is going to be a robust trade market for Myles Garrett. There is going to be no shortage of teams that are going to look to trade for him. And I think the interesting thing for me now is what tack do the Browns take, Paul? Do the Browns decide, all right, we could turn Myles Garrett into some good players. We can still compete now, and let's try to win. Or do they take this as a sign as, look, the quarterback situation's a mess. Our best player wants out. This is when we do our reset. And I think that's going to be interesting to see what they want in a trade. Are they going to focus on veteran players that help them now? Are they going to focus on a bunch of draft picks? And then you look at their pick at number 2. Are you looking to just replace Myles Garrett and draft an Abdul Carter? Are you looking to blow things up and say, all right, we're going to draft and develop a young quarterback? So the direction, and I have not had a chance to talk to my buddy who covers the Browns and get his feel for this yet. I'm going to do that later on today. How this impacts how the Browns approach their offseason, since they're picking one pick ahead of the Giants, given the Myles Garrett trade request or demand, I think is going to be very, very, very interesting.
It really does throw the Giants' situation into a bit of a puzzle because you just don't know now, as you mentioned, what the Browns will do. But if they trade out of that spot, that opens it up to all those other teams who might want to go up and get a quarterback.
Paul, no one's trading up for a quarterback.
I wouldn't do it.
No, I'm just telling you.
I know you mentioned to me the other day. Did you see
all the mock drafts that came out today?
Yeah, nobody's going there. Yeah.
I'm not saying it can never happen. You never know. A team like the Raiders, they do crazy things. Well, but this is not the trade up for. I don't feel like this is a trade up for a quarterback here.
Now, Over the Cap says if the Browns were to deal him pre-June 1st, they eat $36 million in dead money, but they also save $16.5 million because of the way the money is structured, and that makes this.
No. That isn't a. I don't think that's a save 16, Paul. That is.
That's a cap savings of $16.5 million.
No, usually I think parentheses means that it's not cap savings. That's cap cost.
Did I read it wrong?
That's why it's in parentheses.
You're right. I read it wrong.
Right?
I read it wrong.
Like parentheses, I believe means that is not cap savings.
I read it wrong.
That means
I read it wrong.
So they take a $16 million cap hit.
Yes.
Which is
it's not awful.
They can eat that.
It's digestible.
But that's my point now. So what do they do?
I'm out of it, John. I'll tell you that. I'm out of it this morning. Go ahead.
That's okay.
What do they do?
Yeah, I just don't know. Do they do a soft reset here, or do they try to win with what they got? Like, for example, we know right now with the Rams, and again, this is just based on reports that we're seeing. Matthew Stafford wants a new contract.
Right.
He's 37 years old?
Yeah. Going on it, yeah.
So the Browns need a quarterback.
Yeah.
Could you see a swap with Myles Garrett and Matthew Stafford? Could something like that work if you're looking to try to win now if you're the Browns? Now, You're also in a division with Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson. That's a tough win now type of scenario. Or do you trade him to a team that has cap space, maybe has a higher pick? I'm sure he's going to want to go to a team that is closer to winning than not. That's the whole point of this. He wants to win a Super Bowl. In which case the volume of picks will have to be higher. So I think it's very interesting to see how they try to figure this out.
A lot of times with these guys who kind of contemplate this stuff, as they get closer to the season and they start seeing their teammates in the off-season program, things will change too.
My guess is that this is going to be done by free agency.
Well, if he is dead serious about this, then they got to get rid of him because you don't want him coming back into the building. Now,
well, he's not going to come into the building.
That's what I'm
right.
That's what I'm getting to. What in the world do you ask for a Myles Garrett if you don't take a player back?
If you don't take a player back, you're talking just picks?
What in the world would you want?
Well, let me give you, and I should have had it up right away, but I had it up before. Khalil Mack, when he got traded.
Yeah.
Okay? I can give you. So Khalil Mack.
Was it 3 picks?
Signed more than that. So when he got traded, it was a 6-year, $141 million contract. So remember, that was a trade and sign.
Yeah.
So Garrett's under contract.
Yes.
So that makes that a little bit easier.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So the Bears gave up first-round picks in 2019 and 2020, a third-round pick in 2020,
3.
a sixth-round pick in 2019.
4.
But the Bears got back a second-round pick and a conditional 5. So maybe cancel. So basically 2 ones.
Yeah.
But they had to sign him.
Right.
Garrett does not have to be signed. So the team's not paying any of his signing bonus. So, and at that point, Khalil Mack, let's see, that was in 2018. Right now, Khalil Mack is 33, which means in 2018, he was 27, give or take.
Okay.
26, 27. So Khalil Mack is, Myles Garrett's 2 years, he's 29. So he's 2 years older, but you don't have to sign him. The conversation to me starts with 2 first-round picks.
I think 2 1s and probably a 3, maybe 2 1s and a 2.
I would, if I'm the Browns and I'm not getting a player back, that's what I would be asking for.
Yep.
And I could argue that Garrett was a better player than Mack was too.
I think he is.
You're never going to get 3 1s for a non-quarterback.
No, you're not.
But I think you start the conversation. And look, there's the problem. If Myles Garrett's only going to agree to go to a good team, these are end of first-round picks.
Yes.
While the Bears were not very. What was the Bears' record in 2017? I don't think they were very good.
I don't even remember.
But I don't think they were that good. So there was a good chance those picks were going to be high. But my guess is that he's going to go to a good team here. Like a team that I hate to say this. You know, a team has a ton of cap space, can easily absorb his contract, and can use help at defensive end as a pass rusher? The Washington Commanders.
Oh, God.
Am I wrong?
No, you're not. They could definitely use a pass rusher.
And they have a ton of cap space.
Yeah.
And they're a good team that just got to the Final Four.
See, the reason I do agree with you that if they were to contemplate trading Garrett and they really want to do this, you're right. They could take Carter in that spot and get a blue chip pass rusher. That would alleviate some of that issue. So if you could get a high volume of quality picks for Garrett, I could see a method to the madness. I could.
Yeah, I'm sure Harry Roseman will make phone calls. I don't think they can do it from a financial perspective.
No, I'm sure they can't.
I mean, you know what? A team that actually I think has the flexibility to do it and could use the player is Packers, who are really good, and they could use a big-time pass rusher.
I have not looked at the overall cap numbers for the league.
I mean, what's his base salary next year? You had that up, Paul.
Yeah.
What would a team have to absorb in terms of next year's cap money?
His base next year is 1.25. Other bonus money is 3.7.
Wow, that's a small number.
It's very small.
Wow.
It's very small.
It's really small. So anybody could bring him in next year is basically what the deal is.
You're talking about $5 million.
Did they put all sorts of void years in that? Is that what the problem is?
That's a good question.
Oh, my goodness. Look at all the void years.
Yeah, I know. On the back end. 2, 4, 5 years. 5 years of voids on it.
Jeez. and that's why the dead money is so high.
Yeah.
So, no, you know what? Go back down, Paul. I said teams they're going to have to extend him. He just has 2 years left and not a lot of money.
Well, here, yeah.
So he only has 2. You know what? So this is also a trade and sign.
You would think so because you're going to want to have him for at least 4 years. You're not going to want to
so
have
whoever
him for 2.
trades for him.
And if he voids out after 2, you've lost the
Whoever
deal.
trades for him is going to have to pay him again. So, yeah, I think you're looking at 2 1s or a 1 and a pair of 2s. I think that's what you're looking for. But again, you're right. Is it Abdul Carter then to replace him? Or do the Browns say, you know what? This experiment's over. We're going to eat our lunch. Or it's not really lunch because lunch is good. We're going to eat our, what, for the next two years? We're going to eat the Deshaun Watson contract. Forget how we get rid of him. We're going to eat the money we're going to eat the dead money on the Myles Garrett contract. Because look, without Myles Garrett, the Browns can't win.
No.
It's going to be very difficult.
No.
Especially given their quarterback situation. So I don't see how they can navigate this where they become good enough to win the next couple of years. So again, I don't know what their ownership group is thinking or their general manager is thinking, but if I was approaching this, I would take this as an opportunity for a reset. The Deshaun Watson thing has not worked out. You're losing your best player. Take a reset year or 2. It might be 2 because of the Watson's contract because I don't think they can let him go this year. It's too rough. And their cap space not great, Paul. It's not.
Oh.
So, no. Yeah, they're $30 million over. They have to almost zero out Watson just to get cap compliant.
Oh, my goodness.
So it's a mess.
Next to the Saints, they got the worst cap situation in the league.
Yeah, the Saints are also a mess. So, needless to say, if I'm the Browns, I'm doing a reset here and I'm just picking the best player, and it doesn't even have to be a quarterback, right? You can wait on the quarterback there.
Yeah.
So I think this probably makes it less likely the Browns take a quarterback, I would bet. But who knows? The Browns are an interesting organization. They zag when people think they should zig. But it does make, until we see how they handle this Garrett trade and what they prioritize with what they're going to get back for him, I think what they do in number 2, I think, is going to be very interesting.
And then, of course, the other thing is we still don't know what Tennessee's going to do either.
No. And again, I think to your point, they love to trade down. I just don't think there's going to be a team that's going to give the wampin amount of stuff that they want for the first pick. Maybe there will be. Who knows? But, yeah. I think it's very up in the air. We don't know what picks 1 and 2 are going to look like right now.
Think about this. Myles Garrett is 29 years old, and he's already had 7 consecutive double-digit sack seasons. And he's only 29!
Dude, he's had 4 straight 14 sack seasons. 16, 16, 14, 14. The man's a machine. No, he's a monster.
Just traded the Lakers for nothing.
Okay.
I hear Dorian Finney-Smith is available. You think they'd be interested in him? No.
My. No,
Austin Reeves and Dorian Finney-Smith?
Wow.
That's fair.
Yeah, look, he is as dominant and as impactful a player as you're going to find in this league. And to think that, he wants out like that, it's rare that a player of this value is actually going to be on the market.
No, it's extremely
rare.
Khalil Mack, in terms of non-quarterbacks, the last one was Khalil Mack and I guess Tyreek Hill, right, when he got traded. Devontae Adams to an extent.
I don't put them in this category.
Tyreek Hill at the time, Paul, I think he was wasn't he 3rd in MVP voting the previous year or something crazy like that?
But that's also over a shorter period of time. This guy's been doing it forever.
I agree with that.
So,
but again, the only reason I brought it up and I wanted to talk about it is I think it does impact what's going to happen with the second pick, which could impact the Giants at 3. So
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-time All NFL. You're the first or second team.
I know. No, he's Defensive Player of the Year 2 years ago. The man's a machine.
He's one of those guys who, right in the prime of his career, he could retire today, and he's going to the Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah.
He doesn't have to play another down.
First ballot.
Does not have to play one more snap. He's in at 29 years old with still half a career to go.
Oh, there's a good chance he breaks he's already at 102.5 sacks.
Yes.
He's probably going to break the sack record as long as he stays healthy.
I'm telling you, man.
What's the sack record right now? Do you know off the top of your head? Usually
Bruce
pretty good
Smith,
with this.
right?
Yeah, I don't remember what the total number is.
Yeah, he's at 200.
It's a 200?
Yeah, Bruce Smith's over 200.
Wow, is he over 200?
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what that number is. Look that up.
I'll call it up.
All right, 201-939-4513. Guys, a lot of good stuff in the John Soto
200
podcast. 200 even?
200 even.
The draft season's going up today. Pearson's working on that as we speak. Well, at least after the show's over. And then that'll get up there. Tony and I do our full Senior Bowl review. We talk about a lot of players. It's a lot of good stuff. Make sure you check that out. And then, again, just go back on the Huddle archive. All my 5 episodes of interviews with Senior Bowl and Shrine Bowl prospects. You learn a lot about these guys. They're all good kids, man. They really are. It's just fun getting to know them a little bit.
Yeah, one went up on Saturday, by the way.
Yeah, so there was a bonus one on Saturday. So go check that out. A lot of the best, frankly, guys, the best players from the game. I talked to almost all of them. It's really a good conversation with the various guys. So go check that out on the John Soto podcast. You can find all those interviews. Check it out. All right, 201-939-4513. 201-939-4513. Let's go to Jeff in Maine. He will lead us off today. Jeff, what's going on?
Hey, howdy, fellas. Great job on the draft so far. And so I'm now firmly in the Travis Hunter camp. I would take him over Shadul Sanders. And here's the thing. I think he could be a real force multiplier. You know, I mean, not only could he be a shutdown corner, which would be enough, but with his ball tracking ability, I think he's got the potential to be able to make a lot of interceptions, which could really influence games. And that's not even to talk about, you know, his possible offensive stats. And but the only problem with him, I think, is that I think he's going to be gone by the 3rd pick, because why would another team let him go by? And,
hey, Jeff, look, here's the way I look at it. You're going to have, Jeff, real quick, real quick. The 2 position players that are going to go very early in this draft, based on the people I talked to down there, and this is my opinion before I left too. It's going to be Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter. Those are above and beyond the 2 position players that are ranked above everybody else. Those are the 2 guys that are going to go off first. The question is, where do the quarterbacks go? Right? So both those guys theoretically could be pushed down as the first 2 picks of quarterbacks. We just don't know how that's going to go. But it's Carter and Hunter. I think most people probably think that Carter, just because of the position, might go ahead of Hunter, but it would not shock me either way.
You know what's weird about this, John? Every year we talk about how the quarterbacks always artificially rise higher and higher. And now you're telling me, after seeing the guys at the Senior Bowl and talking to all these NFL people, the quarterbacks are starting to sink and going the other way.
Well, again, I don't know if this is guys rising or sinking. I think this is the media catching up to what maybe teams are thinking.
Okay.
You know how that goes.
Yeah.
Right. Well, Hunter and Carter, I think, could both be like monster superstars, and they might go 1-2. You know, but
they could.
But I think that in terms of how it would benefit, I think we have more of a need for a cornerback than an edge player. I'll say that. We have a couple good edge guys, but
Jeff, I will say this:
number 1 corner.
You can never have enough.
No, but Jeff, in that situation, you're picking an elite player. Just pick the best guy. I do not care what position he plays.
Yeah.
If you think one guy is better than the other, pick the dude. Do not let the Giants won 3 games last year. You're not picking for need here. Pick the guy that's going to be the best player for you at the most valuable position for the longest period of time. Period.
You know,
Stop.
What have we talked about? You got to pick an all-star, right?
Pick a Pro Bowler.
You got now. Malik Neighbors got elevated, and he wound up getting in this year. But the Giants had not actually picked a Pro Bowl player in the 3 years of this regime. Neighbors got boosted up, and he made it. But you got to get one.
I don't think that goes technically down as a Pro Bowl appearance, by the way. If you get elevated as a like if you go to Pro Football Reference and they list like the awards,
they won't give it to him. We could always look.
Honestly, I don't think you should. If you only make it because other guys pull out, I get that.
Well, that's why most people look at the All-Pro voting more important than the Pro Bowl, because the Pro Bowl becomes watered down.
Yeah.
Okay, but aren't there people talking about Hunter like he's like a 1 in 10 year prospect? Like a
Jeff,
unicorn type thing?
People say that about prospects. If I never hear the word generational prospect ever again, it'll be a year too soon. Guess what? You can't have a generational prospect every year. Do people know what generations are? It's once every 10 years. So you can't have a generational prospect every year. Every year, he's generational. He's generational. Oh, he's generational. How can you pass on him? If there's a guy every year, they're not generational.
You know, Jeff, I will say this. John will back me up on it.
Drives me nuts.
I forget what year it was, a few years back. We're at the Combine, and everybody, including the rats who were in the hallway at the end of the night, Jeff Okudah. Oh, my God, Jeff Okudah. Absolutely perfect cornerback. He's going to be multiple-time All-Star, Absolutely cannot miss.
So here's my hint for
And
people.
what happened to him?
Here's my hint for people. All right? Stop using the term generational. Say, I think he'll be an all-pro. I think he'll be a Pro Bowler. I think he's going to be a very good starter.
Yeah.
Stop throwing out these ambiguous terms like generational, which actually have a definition, by the way, that nobody seems to care about. Stop using them. There are not generational players every year by definition. Stop calling players generational.
I'm with you, John.
Go ahead, Jeff.
But actually, Red was
There's
a
your
1
tease,
in 10 year
Pearson.
player. But same thing. But well, my number one is Cam Ward and then Travis Hunter. But let's say we do have a choice between Shadul Sanders and Abdul Carter. Which one would you take from what you know now? And I'll take my answer off there.
Thanks, Jeff. I'm not there yet. I'm not willing to tell you who I pick. I don't know yet. I haven't finished my study of Sanders. I know you're taking, so just give me the name.
There's no way I'm passing Carter in that situation. No way. I can't. And to be honest, if Hunter and Carter are 1 and 2, and I'm 3, you know how I feel about Mason Graham. It would be hard for me to pass him. Even though
sprint to the podium with Cam Ward on my card.
I know you would.
I would pull a hamstring. I'd tear an Achilles tendon.
I know you would.
I'd fall down. I'd hurdle people. I'd be like Indiana Jones escaping the temple with the boulder following me. That's what I would be, getting Cam Ward to the podium.
And I understand that. You know how much I love Mason Graham, and I could put off.
Do you think Mason Graham's going to be an all-pro player?
I think he's going to be at least a Pro Bowl player. How about that?
Okay.
I do. I believe in him
Okay,
that
and
much.
I think he has a chance to be a Pro Bowl player. I agree with that.
I mean, he
Third
just,
overall? Will you have a chance to roll the dice on a quarterback?
Well, you know how I feel about rolling dice on quarterbacks, so that's a phobia that I have. So.
Well, you know what? It's funny. It is a phobia that you have. I'm going to talk to you about this. I was actually thinking about this the last couple of weeks. I don't think I've ever been involved in a draft with you where you said, I think the Giants should pick a quarterback. Not one.
Oh, boy.
I've been
First round,
doing this
or?
with you. No, ever. First round specifically. I've been doing this with you a long time, Paul.
First
I
round?
have never sat down with you going into a draft and you're saying, I want guys, I'm going back to Eli Manning, okay? I'm going back to Eli Manning, who Paul did not want to trade for. You never want to take a quarterback.
No, that draft, I wanted to take Robert Gallery, who busted.
Yeah, how'd that work?
Didn't work out well at all.
And look, guys, we all have misses. That is the point I'm making.
I wanted to stick with Kerry Collins, and I wanted to reinforce the offensive line and go for Robert Gallery.
So have you I'm going to follow up.
And the only quarterbacks, what I have done when I have advocated taking quarterbacks, it was for the latter guys.
Later.
That's
why I specified first round.
Right.
Pearson made a good point on
Right, because I advocated for Davis Webb. I advocated for Jarrett Stidham. And neither one of those guys have really got much of a chance to do anything. I mean, Webb wound up becoming a coach.
Given this conversation we just have,
right?
Have you thought about going home one night, sitting down,
and saying, "Get me a first-round quarterback"?
Reevaluating your priors, rethinking about your thought process to come to those conclusions, and not saying just change your mind, but just re-examining the options and the facts, and maybe opening your mind to more of a quarterback-centric approach.
Now that you bring this up, there was one first-round quarterback that I was in favor of, but he didn't come out.
Oh,
Justin Herbert.
Yeah, but he wasn't in the draft, so that doesn't count.
Well, because he decided to stay in.
You can't say, I would have drafted the guy that wasn't in the draft. I mean, you can't say that.
But
Yes.
that year, before he had made his announcement,
wait, hold on.
I was on board with taking him.
Weren't you on Jamarcus Russell?
Not at all.
I thought you liked Josh Allen, though.
Wise guy.
No, he did, but he didn't want him to draft
I didn't
him,
want
though.
the Giants to draft him, but he was my favorite quarterback that year.
He was. That's true.
I did going into Herbert's decision say,
no, I know you
if
did.
you can get Justin Herbert, you got to get him.
I know.
But
he wasn't available.
And then he pulled out of the draft.
So the rubber never met the road where you could have gotten into that draft, fallen in love with a pass rusher, offensive tackle, and changed your mind.
Correct.
Yeah. So
that's
that
never
count.
happened.
So have you thought about rethinking your Paul? If you go 20 years without ever wanting to draft a quarterback in the first round, don't you think something might be wrong with your thought process?
Yeah. Well,
No, look, no, Paul. I'm not criticizing you. I'm literally
Here's the
like, have you
problem.
thought about rethinking your
Here's the
approach? Because
problem.
maybe something's faulty there.
Well, no. Well, here's the problem. In each case, I had to think about the context of where we were, and when I say we, I'm talking about if I'm putting myself in the Giants' chair.
Yeah, of course.
Eli Manning forever. Not much reason to think about that. Kerry Collins before him. Not much reason to think about a quarterback there. Kerry Collins brought him to a Super Bowl, and I think he could have gotten him back.
Was it the right move picking Eli?
Turned out to be. But, of course, it was a trade, but, yeah,
What is the
turned
old-
out to be.
Oh, I'm going to turn it around now, Paul. Here.
You
What is the old Bill Belichick approach to players?
Yeah, get rid of a guy 1 year too early rather than a year too late, which is what the Brooklyn Dodgers always did in baseball back in the 50s. No, I understand that. Kerry Collins had several more productive years, though, after he left the Giants. It wasn't like he was done.
No, he was fine. But they had an opportunity to get the next guy who they thought was really good.
Ernie believed that, you want to talk a generational player? He thought Eli was going to be a generational player. And so he went for him. And it turned out to be the right thing. But I still firmly believe that had Kerry Collins stayed with the Giants, that they would have been very successful as well.
Well, and by the way, in retrospect, Eli was not a generational player. He wasn't even the best quarterback of his generation. Henceforth, not a generational player.
Well-
Again, stop using the word generational.
He was in that there was an entire group of people who grew up with him, and he did win championships
Fine,
during
but-
that era.
Yeah, in New York. He
Yeah,
played during the same time as Tom Brady and Peyton Manning.
yeah, but
I mean, come
no,
on.
But when you talk about that type of player, well, we have a different perspective on that. I think you can talk about him within the franchise's history.
The Giants have had one generational player in franchise history. That's Lawrence Taylor.
Well, he spans the whole league.
That's what generational is.
No, but I think you can, when we picked the Giants 100 this past year.
Right.
All those top guys, a number of those top guys were generational players within the scope of the franchise. That's
Sure.
a difference.
All right, fine.
That's what
I'll
I mean.
Buy that. All right, I'll buy that. Fine.
Like
Fine.
Frank Gifford was a generational player. Guy made
Yes.
the Pro Bowl 4 different positions.
For the Giants.
Right.
Not
That's what
in
I'm
the
talking
larger
about.
aspect of the league.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
Eli was a generational player
Yes.
for in Giants history.
My point is that in the history of the NFL, there's maybe 10 to 20 generational players.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's probably it, and probably closer to 10 than 20.
I don't have a problem with that.
Right. That's all I'm saying.
That's fine. But in terms of, the context of the quarterbacks, I was in no hurry to replace Kerry Collins. I was in no hurry to replace Eli Manning.
And I agree. So now
that's a lot of years where why would I even think about a number one pick on a
I
QB?
understand, but now that you look back, do you think you should have been? That's the ultimate question I'm asking you.
No, I don't. I would not have changed my mind on either of those.
You would not have. Look, hold on a second.
Mm-hmm.
If I give you a time machine, and you can go back in your time machine and select Josh Allen, you wouldn't do it.
Well, now, what year was Josh Allen? What year was Josh Allen?
2018.
2018. Yeah.
Of course you
Yeah.
would.
Yeah.
Yeah, at 10 times out of 10, absolutely.
Yeah. In that case,
So now,
yes.
I'm going back.
But
to my
that's
point.
because in context, Eli was at the end.
Well, yeah, but when you look back, don't you think we should have realized that at the time?
Well, to be honest with you, I thought Eli had 2 years left in him.
I understand at the time. Now that we look back, should we have known better?
Well, in 2020, yeah. But I never played the 2020 game because
No, but
you can
Paul-
never be wrong when you do hindsight.
No, but I understand. But when you look back and you realize you were wrong about something, the smart thing to do is to rethink your thought process and analysis at the time and figure out, well, did I think about this the wrong way?
Well, Josh
Did I
Allen's
think
not in
about
this
it the
draft.
right way? No, forget this draft. I just in terms of reevaluating, like whenever I think about what I felt about a player
Mm-hmm.
and I was wrong, right? You go back in a draft and you say, all right, well, why didn't I get this guy right? Why was I wrong about this guy? I go back and I think about it. All right, well, what was my thought process in thinking about this guy, right? What did I think was important? What did I think was not important? And why was I wrong, right? Like Aaron Donald. In retrospect, watching him on tape and looking at his what he did to Zach Martin at the Senior Bowl and go through all the things.
I thought he wasn't going to be durable enough to make it in this league long term.
And he was a little too small, right?
That was why.
Correct. Well, why were we wrong about that? That's what I like to do. When I see something I go through and I was wrong about it, I like to go back and I have to think, well, why was I wrong? Can I adjust the way I think about something? Have I learned a lesson from this experience? And should I be thinking about this differently? That's the question I'm asking you in regard to your approach to the quarterback position. I'm not trying to put you in the spot. I just want to have a conversation about it.
No, it's fine. It's a very philosophical chat.
And that's what I'm trying to do.
And to be honest, I think every time it comes up, we have to look at it in its current context. Because I believe, and I've said this on other programs, there are two ways to grade a decision. You grade the decision at the time it was made, and did you make a logical decision when you met the fork in the road?
Right.
And you can grade that decision as an A, and then the result of the decision could still be an F because something happened between the time the decision was made
and I get that,
and the time the result came to pass.
Absolutely, 100%.
So there are two different grades there.
Right, but there's also you can go back and say, well, the way I got my first grade, my evaluation was wrong for a reason.
Was it flawed?
There was a flaw, correct.
Was it flawed? Right. I don't have a problem with either time because I still believe that Manning had 2 more years left as a starter, and had he played as a starter, I think the Giants would have been competitive. And I still believe that had Kerry Collins played, that they would have been competitive.
We'll get it.
Kerry could have been another postseason appearance.
Kerry was before my time, so I'm going to push that one aside. I don't want to have that conversation.
That's all right. He did have a lot of years, though, after he left here.
Right. But
some good years, too.
Fine. For the Eli part of it. You thought he had 2 more years left with the Giants that could be competitive, right?
I figured Eli had 2 more good years left, yes.
Do you think the Giants realistically could have gotten to an NFC Championship game in those 2 years?
That would have been iffy.
So, if you think he only has 2 years left and you don't really have a chance to get where you want to go, why not draft the guy you think is going to be your next great quarterback? And look, Josh Allen is a guy that, by the way, he did not have 2 good years his first 2 years.
Understood.
But so if he sits for a year, that's fine. So now that you think back, and this is kind of the point I'm going to drive at.
Yeah.
And again, the Giants aren't in this situation now. They don't have an incumbent starter. So this is just more of a philosophical conversation.
Correct.
Don't you think that it was worth picking a guy like Allen to develop? And you like to develop quarterbacks slowly. So I feel like this is right up your alley.
Yes. Oh, I'd like them to sit at least a year.
That's what I'm saying. So wouldn't it have been perfect in retrospect when you rethink your decision making to have drafted Allen that year and sit him down and let him sit behind Eli for a year, maybe even more, like Jordan Love did for the Packers? And when you think back, when your emotions aren't involved in it with the love for Eli and all that stuff, just from a football team building scenario, wouldn't that have made sense?
That would have been a viable alternative, no doubt about that. That would have been viable. I agree.
And in retrospect, preferable. Because the flawed analysis, Paul, was that the Giants were nowhere near winning.
Correct.
The teams were bad.
Correct.
So you passed on an elite quarterback to have 2 bad years with a quarterback that was on the verge of retirement.
Now, that to me is where you have your best point against what I had thought. Because I thought the Giants weren't as far away from being a real playoff team at the time. That's where my decision was flawed.
So I think, but my thoughts now, this is my overall philosophical
He also
question.
wasn't the highest graded quarterback in that class. So it's hard to, wasn't Sam Darnold?
Well, whatever. Even if it's not Josh, but his
point is,
pick
do you take a QB?
Right, just take a future quarterback. And I think my point there is, if you have a quarterback towards the end, even if you think you're going to be competitive, right? Doesn't it make sense if you have the opportunity, you're not trading draft picks to get there, if there's a guy you're there that you love, you take your swing on the quarterback because it's such an important position. And you just do it.
I could understand that. I could. At the time, I thought the Giants were in better shape.
Right.
But I understand the point.
But in retrospect,
I understand.
And this is why I'm talking about the analysis, right, and the philosophy part of it.
Mm-hmm.
When you look back at it now, is it almost in an NFL where there's so much parity and it's so hard to predict what teams are going to be good and what teams aren't?
Right.
And that position is so important. Is it worth the risk to say, well, I think we're going to be pretty good. Let's stick with the 38-year-old and pass on drafting the next quarterback? That, looking back, and I was kind of on your side at the time, to be honest with you. So This is me reevaluating my opinion. I was on these shows. You guys heard what I said about this stuff, and I've rethought my thought process, and I think about it differently now. The position's so important. You have a chance to get the next guy, and my guy would have been Darnold that year, not Josh Allen. We had that conversation on here many times.
Many times.
Get the guy in the building.
Okay.
And figure it out from there.
Now, I just wanted to double check. At that time, third-round quarterback Davis Webb was on this roster, and I was a big Davis Webb fan. I thought Davis Webb could be an NFL starter, and a pretty good one at that.
Well, in retrospect,
he never got a chance. He was behind Eli. He was behind Josh Allen. He was behind Darnold.
If he was good enough, a team would have given him a chance.
He was behind 3 number 1 picks.
If a team was good enough, they would have given him a chance.
So
you think there's this number 1 starting quarterback just sitting there and no one decided to trade for him or put him in or anything like that? Come on, give me a break.
What I think happened was Davis Webb was a victim of circumstance and never really got a chance to show himself. That's what I believe. I do.
So,
I'm sorry.
So no reevaluation of your evaluation there. Nothing.
No. What I'm saying
is... So you will go to your grave saying Davis Webb was a starting caliber NFL quarterback, just no one ever gave him a chance.
But that happens to be true. He was behind Eli. He was behind Sam Darnold. He was behind Josh Allen. Are you going to start Davis Webb, an unknown commodity, over those 3 first-round picks? You're not. He was never going to get a chance to start on any one of those 3 teams because all 3 of those franchises thought they had, with their guy, they thought they had their franchise quarterback. He was never going to throw a pass and never did until the very end when the Giants gave him a token start against Philadelphia and he played well.
He was fine. Wasn't he on the team when they drafted Daniel Jones?
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah, but if he was that good, why would they draft Daniel Jones?
Because he was behind Eli and he was behind the number 1. He was behind a first rounder.
No, they didn't. They chose to draft Daniel Jones over Davis Webb.
Yeah, because Dave Gettleman thought Daniel Jones was going to be awesome.
And he didn't think Davis Webb was.
Right. Davis Webb, to me, was just going to be a good starter in this league. I never thought he'd be an All-Pro or even a Pro Bowl player. I never thought that.
Right.
But I thought he'd be good enough that if the team had enough of good players, he could be a good quarterback that could get you to the playoffs. I still believe that. He just never got a chance. It's okay. We can agree to disagree.
But any team could have signed him. Any team could have brought in Davis Webb.
Why would anybody have signed him when he was never, ever getting a chance to play? If you remember, when the Jets signed him, when the Jets brought him in after the Giants got rid of him, the Giants, Shermer had cut him, right?
Mm-hmm.
When the Giants got rid of Davis Webb, the Jets gave him not a practice squad salary. They gave him a full-fledged, not a practice squad salary. They gave him a full-fledged rookie contract. Not a practice squad salary, because they wanted him so badly, they didn't want him to get scapped up.
I understand.
And he took a full-fledged 53-man roster spot salary, not a practice squad salary, to go on their practice squad. And they were married to Sam Darnold.
No, I get that. I get all
So
that.
he was never going to play. He knew that. That's why he went to Buffalo. And then he was caught behind Josh Allen.
Why wouldn't he choose to go to a spot where he would have a chance to play?
I've often thought the same thing. I have not ever had that debate with him. I had too much respect to ask him that. But he wound up behind.
And by the way, I love Davis Webb. He's a great dude. I think he's a good backup quarterback. I think he's going to be an offensive coordinator in short order, by the way. He's a really good coach.
Mm-hmm.
But, Paul, this is my point with that. Teams are so desperate for quarterbacks in this world. You know that.
Your thought is, why didn't somebody go pluck him off the practice squad or during free agency? Why didn't somebody scoop him up and say, here's a chance to start? That's your point. And that's fair. I don't know.
Who was the quarterback that the Seahawks signed? Scott Tolzien? No, the other one. Who was the other Packers quarterback that had one good start?
You mean Matt Ryan?
No.
Not
The
Matt
Seahawks.
Ryan. Oh, yeah.
He had one good start.
Oh, we talked about this. Flynn.
Matt Flynn. Thank you.
Matt Flynn.
He had one good start.
And he
the
got,
team paid
got
him
a 3-year,
$30
multi-million-dollar contract. And then he lost out to Russell Wilson.
Teams are willing
who was
to
a
roll
third-day pick.
Teams are right. Teams are willing to roll the dice. No, day 2 pick, right? Russell Wilson?
Wasn't he fourth round?
Was he
fourth
third?
round?
I thought it
was he third?
I'll have to double check that.
I don't know.
But I don't know. Anyway, so no rethought of the process at all. Just of the way you think about quarterbacks.
I think it has to be done on a case-by-case basis in complete context of where you think your team stands.
But you don't think that teams should be more willing, based on everything we've seen, to just throw darts at the quarterback position?
See, and throwing darts is the appropriate phrase because I think that's what it is.
Well, that's what the quarterback position is. No, nobody knows who's going to be good.
Yeah, it really is.
Nobody knows who's going to be good.
Is. I have over all the years of doing this, I have very, very rarely been absolutely bowled over by like a top 5 quarterback prospect that I really thought was going to be terrific. Peyton Manning, yes, I knew that. Luck, we all knew that. Herbert, we knew. There are some guys, I think everybody pretty much says, okay, they're going to be really, really great.
But if you're waiting for those guys, you'll be waiting forever.
Well, that's the problem.
Right, that is the problem.
So for me, because I tend to not want to play darts, I would rather develop the rest of the team, and if I can go get myself a proven guy, I would much rather do that.
But do you know how hard it is to win that way?
Of course it is. I'm not saying it's easy.
It's almost impossible.
The whole league is a crapshoot. But then again, like I told you in the past, what was the number? Again, 27 different quarterbacks have started a Super Bowl, and 45% of them were not taken in the first round. I mean, that's just a fact. I can't ignore that. And I'm talking about since the 2000 season. That's just a fact. 15 were first-round picks. 12 were not first-round picks. And I'm not giving multiple considerations to Brady or anybody else. No, I'm talking about fresh starters in a Super Bowl since 2000. 15 were drafted in the first round. 12 were not. To me, that's it's almost like flipping a coin.
Yeah, but if you go to the last 10 years, the numbers are a lot different.
Well, 10 years also because you've got guys who have multiplied. Your Mahomeses, your Bradys, guys have multiplied. That kind of skews the number, too.
All right, Cliff in New York wants to talk about the bridge quarterbacks. Cliff, what's going on?
Hey, guys. You should save this show for the people who think it's easy to find a quarterback. I mean, the way you just ran it down.
It's not easy, Cliff. Look, and I'm not disagreeing necessarily with John. I just feel like there's a lot of consternation no matter which way you go. It is not a simple decision.
No. I thought Eli and Coach Coughlin had 2 more rings, not just a couple of more years. That's what I thought. Anyway, I've heard a lot about the free agents and the draft for the route to the quarterback one way or another, and I haven't heard about trading for a bridge quarterback. First of all, I could use a tutorial. There's a trade deadline that happens during the season, right?
Yeah, the middle of the year, sure.
Middle of the
October.
season?
It's in October.
In October. And then when does that lift?
How do you mean?
When are you free to trade again?
Now. I mean, well, not now. Once the Super Bowl is over, and if you want 2 teams want to make a trade, they can make a trade.
Right.
Okay, so it's after the Super Bowl. Okay.
Yeah, I believe so.
I don't know if there's a specific date or it's the week after, but it's in that vicinity.
Okay. Yeah, that was what I was wondering.
So you want to make a deal?
I wonder if it's one. Do you think it's when the franchise tag thing opens up? Could that be it? Maybe when you can start tagging guys. Could that be when?
Which
it opens?
is within another couple of weeks.
Yeah, something like that.
It's like
maybe
within 2 weeks. That's why I say I don't want to pin down the date on that.
So it's this month.
It's coming up. Yep.
Yeah. Well, what about there's 50, and also when we say somebody's going to be a free agent, Is Darius Slayton a free agent right now?
He will be effective.
Well, but when
guys pending free agents become free agents technically once the new calendar year opens March 12, John?
I have to double check
it's
the date.
March
Yeah,
12th.
it's the middle of March. The middle of March is where guys technically become free agents.
The expiration
Okay.
of all 2024
So-
contracts happens then.
Okay.
It's the 12th, Pearson? Yeah, March 12th.
Okay, so meanwhile, there's 50 or 60 or 70, whatever, quarterbacks under contract. Is that right?
Right. There's a bunch of guys who are pending free agents because their deal is running out and they're in limbo right now while teams figure out what they want to do.
Right, and Tyrod Taylor is going into the second year of his deal, right?
He is signed with the Jets for 2025. That is correct.
Right. So I've been thinking about somebody like him, preferably maybe a little younger, and Jacoby Brissett. Guys
He's a free
like that.
agent.
There must be a bunch of people like that around the league. Isn't that an option? That instead of just the free agents themselves seem to be a little bit slim in terms of what the pickings are with the prices that would and the prices with the ones that are going to be available. Do you think we could make a deal? I guess when trades are made, it always baffles me that it's always with draft picks, but I guess that's the way it goes. But maybe they could dangle a player. I mean, could we get the bridge quarterback by trading for somebody that's under contract?
That's why people have floated out Stafford, Carr, and Cousins. People have floated those names out there because at one time or another there have been rumors that those teams would be willing to part with those guys. That's why those names have been bandied.
But I was thinking they'd be too expensive.
Well, to be frank with you, Cousins has offset language. So he wouldn't be that expensive in terms of price.
Okay.
Now, in terms of draft capital, perhaps. But if you talk about money and salary cap, Cousins has offset language. You could probably get him cheap, like what the Steelers did with Russell Wilson this year.
Okay.
Well, his
watching
salary's not guaranteed
go ahead.
though this year, is it?
Yeah, he's got. Matt and I went through this already. Let me see if I can.
He
call it up.
has signing bonus that's left, but I don't think his contract's guaranteed.
Hold on. I gotta call it back
Russell?
up. Oh shoot, I
You
don't
looking
have it up.
You looking up Russell?
No, Cousins. Cliff, go ahead.
Cousins. We've looked this up in the past, but go ahead.
Well, anyway, I was thinking, the big names like Russell and Cousins. I was thinking of dropping down a notch or two, and drafting somebody on day two who they really like as to develop. And also, is Drew Lock completely out of the picture? He's still on the team. He's
contract's
not even
up.
a free agent yet. Right?
No, he's a free agent in March.
He's a free agent in March. Do we have any clue as to how they feel about him? I mean, I thought you guys want somebody that's won more games than a Drew Lock or a Tommy DeVito, right?
If for a bridge quarterback, yes.
I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cousins'
so
base
that's where I'm
salary is
reaching,
27 and a
these
half.
guys have been
by the way.
around
that's
for a
not bad.
while.
No,
It's not
Like
that's what I'm saying.
Even the guy Boyle that we brought in, I don't know if he's a good example, but there's guys that have, because he hasn't won games, but there's a bunch of guys that have won games that are hanging around who aren't big ticket guys. And I didn't like the way Russell Wilson looked yesterday. I didn't realize he had put on that much weight. He can't run as fast as he used to, and it's not just because he's older. My goodness. But
He's a little chunky.
anyway, I just hadn't heard that as an option, and I like it. So anyway, I'm sure Joe Shane knows that's an option. Just a couple of quick things about the draft choices that you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm a little disturbed by the superstar corner / receiver. I think cornerback is a full-time job. Thank you very much. And he wants to be the next Shohei Ohtani. I don't think that's for us. I really don't. I think that it means he's going to spend time in the meeting room with the receivers, even if he's just for a couple of packages. He's got to be up to speed to be a receiver. He can't be something that's taken lightly. It's going to take away from him being a corner. And unless he's Sauce Gardner, which you seem to think he is, I don't know that he steps right in without total dedication to playing that position. So I'm not hungry for him. The edge rusher, don't you still want to know if he can do the power rush, and you won't know until the combine?
I mean, I don't think the combine's telling you anything about his ability to bull rush.
No.
Where was it that you said you were going to find that out? Was that in the games that we just had?
Abdul Carter. I mean,
you've seen it for 2 years.
You've seen it. I mean,
so he does bull rush. If he does bull rush, I'm happy with him.
I mean, he can. He's not the biggest guy in the world.
Carter is by far the most potent edge rusher in this draft. Nobody's going to argue that. I mean,
but I was thinking about how he fits, because we've decided that Kayvon is more of a bull rusher, and Burns is more of a finesse kind of guy.
Well, look at it this way: Thibodeau has the fifth-year option, which I would think the Giants will pick up.
Thank you, Cliff. Appreciate the call.
But you can never have enough edge rushers, and I don't know this, but I don't know that Ojulari's going to be back. So you're going to want to groom somebody to potentially be in that mix anyway. So, no, I don't think there's anything that would preclude you from drafting Carter, if that's what the question was.
So me and you are back on again, Paul, on Friday, okay?
Okay.
So I have had Stats Inc.
Mm-hmm.
They've pulled a bunch of historic quarterback stats for me.
Mm-hmm.
So that is going to be the Friday show. I'm going to throw some stuff at you. I'm going to see if I can change your mind. Okay?
Okay.
That sounds good?
Okay.
I'm just telling you to prepare yourself for it. I got a whole spreadsheet here.
And I have 3 spreadsheets on quarterbacks.
No,
Trust me, I took a long time to research this crap all last year, and it still holds.
So have the stuff ready and bring it in.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you one before we say goodbye, and then we're gonna stop. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna give you one stat.
Mm-hmm.
Since the year 2000, Paul, 167 have been drafted round 4 or later.
Mm-hmm.
How many of those players have started in a conference championship game?
Oh, I didn't do conference championships. All I did was Super Bowls.
The answer is 2.
Mm-hmm.
I'll leave you with that.
Okay.
And we'll have more numbers like that on Friday when we have our little debate.
That's fine.
Okay?
That's fine.
It'll be fun.
Okay.
We're coming at this from 2 different angles. I'm looking forward to having the debate.
Okay.
Is it Brady and Purdy?
Yep. You got it. Those would be the 2.
Now, what you'll miss there is, I want to say there are 2 undrafted rookie free agents that also started Super Bowls, so they must have started as well, but that's not in your list.
No, I'm talking about draft.
Yeah, well, an undrafted rookie free agent is even lower than the draft. So you got to include those guys.
Yeah, but there's no number of undrafted rookie free agents. There's no number to tell what the total number is to do percentage.
No, there's not. But there have been 2 undrafted rookie free agents who have started a Super Bowl in the last 27 years. Oh, my God. One of them, oh, man. One of them, Kurt Warner, I think.
That sounds right.
And the other one.
He was also pre-2000.
And the other one, yeah.
Romo. No, but Romo.
It's not him. It's
Romo
not
never
him.
even got to a championship game.
Hold on. I'll have to go back.
No,
and
Friday.
find it.
Save it for Friday. Save it for Friday.
All right.
You're fine. Save it for Friday.
I have it.
Save it for Friday.
It's on my list at home.
Save it for Friday.
All right.
Good stuff, Paul.
Okay.
What?
I need some sleep. I'm tired.
You're really worn out, dude. You're okay?
I am. I'm very worn out.
Why?
I'm very worn. I don't know. I was very upset when O.J. Anunoby got hurt the other night. And I didn't sleep well. And then I got up early to shovel today, and I'm half asleep.
There wasn't that much snow on the ground this morning. It's only like an inch of snow.
I know it wasn't that much, so physically it was not taxing, but to have to get up that early to do it was a pain in the rear end.
Oh, and the good news is that it was going to be 45 degrees today, so you knew most of the snow was going to melt anyway.
I shoveled it anyway.
I did a little shoveling too, but you don't have to be as precise with the shoveling when you know it's going to get
true.
melted.
That's true. But I cleaned up really well.
Very good. So today they started the demolition on my basement, by the way.
Oh, boy.
So I'm like on pins and needles waiting for like the, hey, you know what we found phone call? And then like, do you know how much more that's going to cost you phone call?
So where do you watch the Knicks game tonight?
In my living room.
Okay. Very good. I'm glad.
Yes. Okay. I'm glad you're glad.
Let's just hope they win, okay? Because I was not happy the other day. It wasn't terrible, but I was
won
disappointed.
5 in a row.
I know, but I was disappointed.
Pearson's Boston Celtics have turned it back on again.
Yeah.
Congratulations, sir. All right? That's the show. It's all brought to you by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the Giants. For Paul Dottino, I'm John Schmeelk. Tomorrow it is, I believe, Paul and Sitak for 2 straight days of for 2 straight days. Then I am back. I actually just brought the schedule up. I was looking at to double check. We were on again this week, so I could bring my data to you.
Okay.
So, tomorrow and Wednesday it's you and Sitak. Me and Lance on Thursday. Looking forward to that. And then me and you are back together on Friday.
You got it.
And then I'm off next week, so you have a lot of Paul and Sitak coming your way next week. All right. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody.